The guidelines for terminal siting are that you should not locate a terminal, A, near a densely populated area, B, where there are significant use conflicts, and C, up a long, winding, narrow waterway. That looks like Narragansett Bay. So to answer your question specifically, there are very few LNG terminals in the country that are located in geographies like this one, densely populated, intensely recreational used inland. Those that are offshore have much reduced conflict issues and much reduced dredging issues. In the case of the two Massachusetts facilities, there is no dredging around the terminal. There's some limited pipeline dredging that was done. So the impacts are much reduced based on where you locate the terminal.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator Metz. Anything further? I want to Senator Sosnowski.
I wanted to thank you, Jonathan, for bringing so much good information to the committee today, and for the work that you and Save the Bay is doing on the fighting this, not only the fight of it, but bringing the information forward to the public to educate everyone of the importance of the Bay, the life that's in the Bay, the impacts of the dredging, the scope of the dredging. And I was also very interested in your comments and educating us on the three, the gas situation in Massachusetts, in Everett, Gloucester. And I was also very interested on the domestic gas discoveries that you spoke about in New York, and that could possibly be for use in the United States. And I think it would be the best thing for the economy if that's all we used was domestic energy and renewable energy. But again, I want to thank you for your information, and continue good luck on this issue.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Sosnowski. Again, I want to thank you on behalf of the Commission for that testimony. I would appreciate it if you would get that documentation with regard to the international organization and any other. I mean, if the European community has a particular type of thing, I imagine we're not inventing a wheel here. So that, and we are not like the previous administration. We are willing to listen to all information. Again, thank you very much for your
Thank you for your time.
If nobody has any objection, we're going to just keep going through. I do want to point out to the members of the Commission that we have, if not already, we are corresponding with Weaver's Cove because we want to make sure they are able to participate in some fashion. We have also asked them if they have folks within our community, if you will, who are interested and prepared to discuss the matter that they would like to bring forward, that this committee really is responding to folks who are asking to be part of this and reaching out a little bit. But certainly we are willing to listen to all interested folks. So next I would like to call representative of the Rhode Island Saltwater Anglers Association. I believe Mr. Allen.
Yes, thank you.
How are you? And thank you for your patience.
Thank you, sir.
And please have a seat.
Thank you very much. My
Welcome.
name's George Allen. I am a member of the Board of Directors for the Rhode Island Saltwater Anglers. Our president, Steve Medeiros, sends his regards. He was not able to be here. We are opposed to the LNG project in Mount Hope Bay, and we have focused our attention. We're fishermen. We're concerned about now, and we're concerned about the future, and we have focused our attention on the winter flounder. I spent 16 years on the Rhode Island Marine Fisheries Council, and I spent many, many years and still very, very focused on trying to bring back the winter flounder to Narragansett Bay. You all have a copy of our position paper in your folder, I believe, and in that position paper there are two figures which I will bring to your attention when we get a little more specific about, which Save the Bay has already mentioned, what that turning basin and the channel and the pipeline is going to look like if it should go forward. First of all, ladies and gentlemen, Mount Hope Bay has been discussed a bit, but I want to highlight Mount Hope Bay from the standpoint of winter flounder. Mount Hope Bay, again, is this area right in here. It's less than 20 feet, but mostly 13 to 15 feet. Why is that important? Because winter flounder spawn in the wintertime when the water is coldest, and the water can be a lot colder when the water is shallower than it is in deeper parts of the bay. Secondly, Mount Hope Bay is mostly mud and soft bottom, and it has multiple amounts of ground growing or bottom growing marine algae and vegetation, which is also very important because the winter flounder, when they spawn, their eggs do not float to the surface or float in the water. They adhere to the bottom. And so they have a place for the eggs to attach themselves to. And from our authenticated information, Mount Hope Bay is one of the 3 primary spawning areas in Narragansett Bay, the other 2 being Upper Narragansett Bay north of Prudence Island and the Sakonnet River. But Mount Hope Bay clearly is a very, very important historical spawning area for winter flounder. A little bit on the winter flounder profile. Adult winter flounder would spend the summer months offshore, congregate in the approaches to Narragansett Bay in the early fall, and then in the early winter, move into the upper reaches of the bay and to spawn. And spawning usually takes place in late December through March when the water temperature is the coldest. And this is a quote, the most important spawning areas in the bay, as I mentioned, one of which is Mount Hope Bay, and it's a historical site. Winter flounder stock status. Winter flounder comprised about 10% of the Rhode Island's annual finfish landing in 1987, with a landed value of approximately $4 million. However, and in the previous year, recreational fishermen landed 3.5 million winter flounder. That's a lot of flounder. Since the mid-1980s, winter flounders have declined dramatically, the result of overfishing and environmental factors. In 2009, the southern New England winter flounder stocks were assessed to be only 9% of the required target biomass. As a result of this assessment, the commercial and recreational fishing in southern New England for the flounder have been essentially closed down. The fisheries managers have finally realized that they've overlooked, haven't paid attention to the winter flounder amongst all the other fishes in state and federal waters in southern New England, and they've shut it down. Now, you probably know we've had Narragansett Bay shut down to winter flounder for many years. And I worked really hard on that, but it didn't solve the problem because we didn't take care of the fish when they in the offshore where there were being too many caught. But now we've got the winter flounder shut down as far as catch, both recreational and commercial. So we have an opportunity now, and we're at a critical time here, for the fish to rebuild. And if you leave the fish alone, they will rebuild. The other part about this is that the situation, the fact of Brayton Point, as you all know, which is located at the north end of Mount Bay, has begun construction of the federally mandated cooling towers, which will reduce the cooling water flowing back into the bay by about 90%. So now we have a situation where Mount Hope Bay may be a place where the flounder can spawn successfully, and we have a situation where we're going to leave the fish alone in federal and state waters outside the bay so they can come into the bay and spawn. The tankers, as has been mentioned, these ships are very large, 920 feet average with a beam of 142 feet and a very deep draft. You might want to look now, if you have an opportunity, at the figures 1 and 2 in that paper. The proposed location of the offshore berth in Mount Hope Bay is approximately 4¼ miles south of the approved LNG terminal and about 2 miles south of Braga Bridge. And my pointer right there is pointing right at Spar Island, and that's about where the offshore terminal is going to be. To accommodate the LNG tanker berthing, unberthing and turning maneuvers, Weaver Cove proposes to construct the Mount Hope turning basin, which will be approximately 1,800 feet in diameter. And if you look at that figure there now, you can see that turning basin, 1,800 feet here. And then, secondly, an 1,800-foot channel is going to be dredged into where the terminal is going to be sited